Hi, and welcome to the ADHD Women and Business Show. I'm Becky.
And I'm Lana.
Awesome. And in true ADHD fashion, we're latecomers to the party. Both of us run successful businesses and are exploring how ADHD is probably our superpower. We can't be the only ones on this journey, and you are welcome to join us as we discover more about ADHD, women, and business. So today's episode is us chatting about when we first realised that we're probably ADHD. And forgive us if we swear, we do get a little bit passionate about this. So, hi, Lana.
Hiya, Becky.
Woo, we're up and running.
Hooray! I know. We've been giggling in the background and putting this off a little bit, but we did get ourselves organised and we're here, which is
We
fabulous.
are indeed. So, yes, that's the first thing is starting things, isn't it? That's for sure for me anyway. So, which I understand is a good ADHD trait as well. So, there we go. Who knew? Who knew?
Mm.
Gosh, ADHD. When did you start really considering that you might have ADHD?
I think it's crossed my mind. I mean, that I could say that I'm this sultry 20 something. Really honestly, I'm a middle-aged mum of who happens to run a successful business, as do you. But I would say I didn't really consider it actually until I was listening to Denise Duffield Thomas's podcast
Yeah.
some years ago, where she had first discovered that she was ADHD. I think then there were articles in the newspaper about the lost generation.
Yeah.
It kind of crossed my mind, but didn't really pay too much attention. I just thought I had particular unique quirks that maybe were just individual to me, and only subsequently beginning to understand that that might not be the case. But I think the one that really hit home was as recent as a couple of months ago, and we were obviously talking
Yeah.
because, like the reason we're here is to explore whether or not we are ADHD, and if so, what does that actually mean for us as women and our businesses? And equally, there must be other people out there that's not just
I thought
us
so.
that we can draw upon for their
Yeah.
wisdom, knowledge, and expertise. But that it struck when I was in a lovely place in Devon called the Bolt Hole. If you
Mm,
ever get the chance to
sounds
go,
lovely.
lovely, absolutely gorgeous. And I was actually with a a friend and colleague called Nikki McGlynn, who happens to be a neurodiverse um, practitioner and an ADHD coach. And not that we were talking about that at all,
Yep.
but it just so happened that I was taking a coaching call from my business coach, and I saw this lovely little squirrel coming down the tree and then running across the fence. And I immediately said to my coach, "Oh, squirrel." And I finished the call, came out and said to Nikki, "Oh, squirrel." And she just looked at me, she said, "You're definitely ADHD."
Oh, love it. Love it.
And I'm like, "Really? Really? You can tell that just from that comment?" And she said, "I think you're ADHD." So that has led me
Oh, wow.
to taking a sort of stance now and thinking, maybe, maybe.
Mm,
And, in all transparency, you and I have been on earlier through planning our podcast, our
yep.
show. And whilst we were, sorting ourselves out with topics and themes, I was also doing my, went online to have a look for online tests for ADHD,
Yep.
and ended up at the ADHD Centre online
Mm,
test. And so thought, oh, I'll just, I'll complete that. And interestingly, it came out with, you
yep.
are more than likely ADHD, and would you like to have an appointment? So interesting. That's where I'm at the moment.
It's mad, isn't it, to
Mm,
realise that, like you say, the little quirks that we thought were just us are perfectly normal symptoms of having ADHD. And yeah, I love that squirrel. I love the exuberance that I get from those bursts of joy in the day where it is, I'm by the window, so there's often birds outside or whatever, and I'm like, oh my God. And particularly when it's the baby wrens, they're just beautiful. But anyway, that's besides the point. But it is that joy that we get from um, just moments in the day that I think if it is an ADHD trait, then I definitely want ADHD. I don't want to lose those bursts, because they're just lovely, aren't they? So
like little
love it.
joy bubbles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a wonderful way of
Mm.
describing them. I shall have to remember that.
Yeah.
So
But
yeah.
what about you, Becky? Because I know actually when we were
Mm,
first talking and playing with the idea of
yeah.
creating this show, you were the driving force behind this. So how how have you come to appreciate that you are more than likely
Yeah.
somebody who runs a successful business that has ADHD?
Yes. How did I come to it? So there's a number of layers that we will get in over conversations in the future, I've no doubt. But one of them is that I've never really felt normal. So for a long time in my life, I felt like I'm different. That yeah, and some of that was childhood experiences as well and stuff. So I've battled against all sorts of things. And I have to say, had I thought I had ADHD 10 years ago, I'd have thought I'd have been full of shame. I'd have thought it's another bloody thing wrong with me and wouldn't have embraced it in the way I have now. So that's just, I think it's worth saying that because there's always been an awareness that I'm different. And I've felt different for a long time. But having gone through a fair amount of personal growth, what it meant was that when I came across the clues that I had ADHD, it meant that I was able to be curious and accepting and a little bit excited actually about the fact that it was just, oh my God, that's why. And actually it's really helped me go through. So the time when I really discovered and thought this is me was I read a magazine article about 8 I don't know, maybe only 5 years ago, and I cried. I absolutely cried when I read it. It was a woman who was in her 40s or 50s, I don't remember now. I'm in my 50s, so, um, but she was talking about her diagnosis of ADHD and how different things had happened in her life that were now very clearly about ADHD. And I just felt so seen that I cried. And I suppose that's part of the driving force around this, that actually if somebody's really thinking about it and they just want to know, because so much of it is, I'm not very good with this word, pathologicalized. So it's medicalized. It becomes a thing that's wrong with you. And it's like if anyone can actually listen to our conversations, just go, oh my God, okay, I do that too. Oh, cool. It's I don't know. It's just much less shame carried by it.
Mm,
Um, but this article was talking about uh, doing things at the last minute, about really being driven by last minute things, about losing interest in things, starting up stuff and not finishing it, and um, yeah, and yet actually being able to work really, really, really hard. So I've always thought of myself, I have, yeah, there have been times when I've thought of myself as lazy because I don't get certain things done. And yet now I understand that my hyperfocus means that I get some amazing things done as well as not getting other things done. And so it's that side of it that I think is probably the reason why I cried. So
Mm.
um so since then, it's been a slow build and a slow realization of what's going on. Um and I'm still learning stuff all the time. And one of the things that really struck me actually was that there's ADHD when you're physically um, hyper active, and I think that's much more obvious, certainly from the outside. Not always when it's you, but like you can see it in other people. You can see that hyperactivity. But what I didn't realize is there's a hyperactive mind as well, and that for me was like, oh my god. No wonder my head never stops, and I've got 50 things going on. It's like I've got 100 tabs open in my head and on my computer, I have to say. But
Yeah, me too. Absolutely. You can't not have hundreds of tabs open and then complain that your computer's running really
I
slowly.
know. But my head's like that. I've got a million tabs open, and that was the point at me that it was like, oh my god, no, I probably am, because I don't feel like I've got the physical, but I've definitely got the mental sort of over hyperactive mind. So
That's
yeah.
so yeah, that's so interesting because if I think about my behavior
Mm,
around stuff, like you, I have to have millions of tabs open. I'm
yeah,
often jumping from project to project
yeah.
unless I have learnt now that time blocking on specific projects does work for me and I
Yeah,
can get
awesome.
into the zone.
Yeah.
But I have to get into the zone first in order
Yes.
to focus.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
then woe betide anybody trying to come in with coffees or start having a conversation with me
Oh, I hate that.
because I
Yeah.
can get so crabby. It's like, what the fuck? I'm in the middle of something. Can you not see this? And I expect them to mind read the fact that I have got to hyperfocus. Um, but yeah, when you were talking there about having two types,
Yeah.
um, I do notice if I start very often I clean my house because I leave it getting quite a bit of a mess before I do it. But then I have to blitz it. But then
Yes.
it's not enough to just do one room. Oh, no, no, no. I have to then move into the next room, the next room, the next room. And it almost becomes a compulsion then that I have
Yes.
to have everything
Yeah.
totally clean and almost magazine photo
Yeah.
shoot ready.
Yeah.
And
It's
woe
in all
betide,
the little nooks and crannies. It's not a
yeah,
surface. It's not a quick flit.
no,
It's yeah.
no,
It's
it's
yeah,
deep.
deep.
It's deep. And woe betide anybody put a cup down after I've done that.
Yeah.
Because again, the
Interesting.
irritability
Yes.
comes up as to how can you not see I've spent hours doing this? And, even though they're putting it on a coaster, it's like, no, you can't, you can't. It's all clean and
I
pristine.
don't sit down on the cushions.
Yeah. Where's the plastic? Where's Mrs. Bouquet when you need her? Those of us of an age will you'll
Yeah.
you'll know that reference.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. No, it's so true, isn't it? These things that come to the surface that it's like, oh wow, is that ADHD? And it is that compulsion almost, isn't it? You talking about the cleaning. I've definitely, whatever I'm doing, it's often until I drop. It's almost like, in fact, I read a quote from someone who was saying, when you've got ADHD, you don't go to sleep, you you pass out through exhaustion. And I thought, actually,
It's
it
really
is. I
true.
have to be like fit to drop before I'll finish something instead of oh, there's our alarm. keep to
Oh,
time.
see,
So,
that's what
but yeah.
happens when we get together. It's just like we get into flow. We could be here all day nattering. You know what we're like.
Couldn't we? Couldn't we? But yeah, um, yeah, I'm not diagnosed yet officially. Going back to the subject of discovering that we're probably ADHD, I'm not officially diagnosed. I have thought about it. There's a huge waiting list, or you have to pay, and I'm not sure I need the official bit of paper now for me to feel like um, I know I am. Now I'm just on a journey of discovery. So I don't know how you feel about that right now, Lana.
I'm the same, and I guess some of that has come from my working background pre running my business,
Yeah.
where labels can be yes, they can be helpful, but they can also be quite detrimental because if you're
Yes.
seeing the label before the person, then
Yes.
what's the purpose of the label? Why
Yeah.
label? So, like you, I'm curious. I haven't been formally diagnosed. Yes, I've done that quick online test. Um, but I do feel the more I'm exposing myself to the exploration of, okay, ADHD, women our age, often seen as that lost
Yeah.
generation,
Yes,
are
definitely.
my individual
Yeah.
quirks actually a wider picture of what we go through as women in business who
Yes.
are more than likely ADHD?
Yes. I think that's a wonderful place to finish this conversation today. And thank you, Lana.
Thank you, Becky. It's been so much fun. And I'll be really interested to hear you out there listening
Mm.
if you manage to get past our swearing and giggles. What's your thoughts? Are you ADHD? Have you thought about um, you know, getting diagnosed, having that label? Are you still somebody that feels you have individual quirks and, but you also have some of the interesting things that
Yeah.
we've shared today, raw
And
and real.
yeah, I think the important thing with that is we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to find out what you'd like us to find out more about because we will be chatting with um, guests as well during this show. Um, and the important thing to remember is you are perfectly normal exactly as you are today. And whatever you discover, whatever boxes get ticked or not ticked, you are you and you're
You're always welcome here.
yes,
Always.
definitely. Oh, thanks for watching.
Oh, thank you, Becky. Take care, everyone.
Bye.